Good evening. We're talking tonight about differences on the journey. I don't know if you've noticed, but take a few minutes now and look around the room and think about how different each of you are. Just look around quickly and do that. It's probably pretty obvious. You've been together a few weeks or maybe a few months, and you probably see some people in the room. Maybe somebody who talks a lot and is loud. Maybe someone who's really quiet and reserved. There's probably someone in the room who's more dominant and strong and authoritative. And then there's probably the other people in the room who like to have things right and everything in order and different things. People are different, and that's okay. That's part of our life and part of who we are. One of the homework you did this week is to fill out an online, very simple online personality profile, and I hope you were able to print out the brief paragraph that kind of describes a little bit about your profile. And this is based on the Myers-Briggs personality profile. And the Myers-Briggs evaluates 4 different continuums. The first one is a continuum of you're either an E or an I, which means you're either an extrovert or an introvert. Now, that doesn't mean that it's not about you like to talk or you don't like to talk. It doesn't mean that you are quiet or loud. An extrovert is someone who gets energy from being around people, whereas an introvert is someone who gets energy from being alone. And the higher you rate on one of those scales, the more you get energy from those two situations. I, for instance, am an introvert. I get a lot of energy from being alone. And my house is full of extroverts. I think maybe one of our children might be an introvert. But it's an interesting dynamic. And there's things we have to learn about negotiating how we relate to one another in that context. The next continuum is either an S or an N. And an S is sensing, and an N is intuitive. A sensing person is someone who's very concrete, someone who has order, and it's thinking about facts and reality. Whereas an intuitive person thinks in the realm of possibilities and thoughts and ideas and concepts and big picture ideas and what could happen, and whereas a sensing person wants concrete evidence, an intuitive person just feels it, doesn't know why, but just kind of gets the thing that should be. And those are 2 different ways of seeing the world. Can be some interesting conversations there. Sometimes in meetings, or I've been in meetings with people, and I'm a high N, I'm an intuitive person, and I just kind of go, well, duh. And someone who's in high S will go, show me the evidence. Where are the facts? And I'm like, you need facts? I don't care about all that. Give me the bottom line. That's all I want to know about. So there can be some interesting perspectives when those 2 types of people are in conversation with one another. The third continuum is a T, a thinker, versus an F, a feeler. Someone who's a thinker got it all in their head. They've got it all lined out. It's not an emotional thing. It's logic. This is what should happen. This is the way it should work. Spock on Star Trek, he was the ultimate T, ultimate organized, things that were right and things were wrong and no feeling. But then there's the other side of the people who are high F. They feel things. They empathize with people. They connect with people. They feel what other people are feeling, and they feel life on a deep level in a way that a T doesn't. And if you get T's and F's in conversations with one another, they often miss and over communicate and under communicate and all kinds of things. So a T and an F. Then the last is a P. Someone who a high P is a perceiver, and versus J, and that's called judger. And so a perceiver is a dreamer, someone who sees the possibilities, and there's endless possibilities for these things, and there's this option or this option, and you wonder, can they ever nail it down? Can you finish the project? Can you just get it done? Whereas a J person likes their lists. They like to order. They want to get things done and organized, and they pull off. They can get things done. Where a P often has to wait to the last minute to get things done because there's endless possibilities as to what might happen. A P goes into a store and they start walking up and down the aisles and think, oh, I need this and I need this and I need this. Whereas a high J goes in with their list and they get what's on the list and that's it. All of these things are descriptors of some variations of the people in the room that you're sitting with. And the interesting thing about this isn't just the fact that each of you has a different personality, is the fact that your different personalities can lead to misunderstandings with one another. And that leads to conflict. That can lead to expectations not being on the same page, and people getting hurt because someone feels judged by another person and they don't understand what each other's saying because they're talking past one another because they fail to understand the other person's personality and where they're coming from. And when you're in the midst of conflict or any kind of misunderstanding with one another, you don't want to start talking about your differences then. You want to start talking about your differences before conflict comes, because conflict will come in relationships. But the better you understand your differences, the easier it will be to work through your conflict. So we're going to introduce this now so you can be prepared to work through your relational differences when those things become more evident and more obvious. So that's the purpose of having looking at your personality differences, and you can talk about some of that stuff in your group tonight.